Welcome to Woodstock City Council, April 17th, 2025. And I'm out of breath because I went and got my chains. Ooh. This hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with section 238 subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. The agenda of the meeting can be found on the agendas, meetings, and minutes page of the city's website. We had no closed session this evening, so I'll jump right into things. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. I, Bernie Martin, declare the following indirect pecuniary interest on item 8A for Tourism Oxford. I own a tourism-based business that has the potential to benefit from the programming offered by Oxford Tourism.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Disclosure of any new business? Matters arising from the minutes? And now the minutes. Councillor Schottenberg.
Moved by myself, Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Wismer Van Meer, that the minutes of the regular meeting of Woodstock City Council held on April the 3rd, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? All those in favor? That is carried, none opposed. Additions to the agenda. Councillor Schottenberg.
Moved by myself, Councillor Schattenberg, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the following items be added to the agenda. Delegation item 8C, John Bell, in regards to item 14.G.1, OLT appeal for 401 Lakeview. And also consideration of correspondence from item 10A, the Lions Club of Woodstock, titled Reinvest in Lions Pool.
Thank you. Any questions on those or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that's carried. Brings us to presentations, which there is none, but we do have delegations this evening. I don't think anyone asked for extra time, so I'll just remind everybody, 5 minutes. And please, Meredith Maywood, Oxford County update on tourism, Oxford activities. Welcome.
Thank you very much, everyone, for having me here. Those that aren't familiar with me, my name is Meredith Maywood, and I work for the County of Oxford in tourism. And I'm just coming in tonight to give a quick update on what's happening in tourism with review from last year and then some of the activities for 2025. So if you're not familiar with tourism, it's a service of the County of Oxford, and it provides management, product development, and marketing support for the industry in the county. This is big business in Oxford County with over 3,415 employed in the tourism sector, 670,000 overnights in Oxford County, overnight visitors, and that's 1.4 million nights within the county. These are stats that we get through our partnership with Ontario Southwest. When we look at tourism, we're always looking into tourism trends because we want to make sure that we are on trend and understanding what the consumer is looking for, and then can see opportunities for the businesses in the community. COVID definitely had some impacts on trends, and we're seeing that with some of the things that are trending right now. So conscious travel or sustainable travel is something that consumers are very interested in. They're also searching for a sense of community. And we know that as residents, we are also searching for a sense of community. So people are continuing this when they're traveling, and they're looking to enjoy time with like-minded people that maybe have a common interest. Also, they want to go to under-touristed destinations. And by that, I mean locations that have capacity to welcome more visitors, but we have to let them know what's available in the area so they know they can have a great time. And then culture and cultural assets are very important to visitors. And now, though, it's more important than ever that they're immersive, that they're not just looking at something behind glass, but they're getting more hands-on and enjoying an experience related to culture. So in Oxford County, we have several tourism products, which you're probably familiar with. Your Next Stop is a program that promotes stops within close proximity to each other. So we say we're minimizing drive time while maximizing fun. And there's currently 3 Your Next Stop routes across Oxford County, and we're very excited to be partnering with the city of Woodstock this year to launch Woodstock's Retro Rewind. And we're just in the process of getting that information out to the businesses. Experiential tourism, wellness outdoors, and of course culinary continue to be very popular with consumers, and they of course are on our radar. So when we look at 2024 in the area of management, it was a very busy year. We developed a 5-year tourism plan, and we also received our silver level sustainable tourism destination certification through Green Step. So after completing both of those strategies, we now have recommendations that we're working to implement going forward. And we've been lucky to receive some funding to assist with that, along with other activities. We're always looking for partnerships to extend the reach of what we're doing, whether it's product development or marketing. And when it comes to product development, we are continuing to offer workshops and training and resources to businesses, because by supporting businesses, we're supporting tourism growth. And then also that included 4 new experiences launching. We also promoted a program called Oxford Eats, which encouraged people to get out and visit local restaurants during the month of January, which is typically a quieter time of year. And for 2 years now, we've done that, and it's having great success. We also partnered with the Woodstock BIA to get more people out to see the amazing things in downtown Woodstock. And it was a hospitality hop, and we're excited to be partnering again to offer that this year. And then also last year, through the Tourism Innovation Grant Partnership, 2 businesses from Woodstock received a $3,000 grant to support them with developing a new product for consumers. And those were experiences as well. And I have 1 minute left. Marketing, also we had a large reach, and that was in part by partnering with Destination Ontario for 2 campaigns, which is why it's in the 41 million range. Typically, it's more around 20 million for impressions. So then going forward, of course, we're going to focus on what's happening in the 5-year plan. You have these slides in advance, so I won't go into great detail here, being respectful of time. But obviously, we're wanting to look at things that are going to benefit the community, the residents, and the businesses, and of course the visitors. And we know we have to be innovative when we do that. We have to be good communicators, and we have to provide excellent customer service. And that's what we're focusing on through these objectives. And then for 2025, our business plan, which was approved by Oxford County Council, highlights some of the activities that we're working on for this year, one of which includes a new website, which is going to allow us to provide better customer service, highlighting more things available within our communities in Oxford County. And then just also a reminder, we love working together. We do photography partnerships, we do data sharing, we have lots of resources available, and we have been sharing them with the city in the past, and we continue to do so in the future. So thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it. And any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Any questions of Ms. Maywood? I'll just say I found it quite fascinating. The dollars being spent was what, $90 per day per person when they're coming here for the day, but found it fascinating, $244 if they're coming to spend the night. So we definitely want to try to get people to come visit us, shop, and spend the night here in order to spend more. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. Next up, I would welcome Melissa Holden, reconsideration, closing Alliance Pool. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, I need a motion first. Melissa, sorry, my apologies. I do need a motion for that. Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council receive the presentation from Tourism Oxford as information.
Thank you for that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. Again, my apologies. Now, Ms. Holden, Please welcome. And while you're getting set up, I'll just friendly reminder to everyone that signs are not allowed here in the chambers. Outside, by all means, allowed to do anything with signage, but not inside, please. Thank you. Ms. Holman, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name is Melissa Holden, and I'm here today representing the community to propose the reconsideration of the motion to demolish Lions Pool located at 245 Vansittart Ave here in Woodstock. I, as well as many in this room, have fond memories of spending hot summer days at the pool with friends and family as a child and when my own children were young. It has been a staple in our community for generations and holds significant historical and heritage value. We believe a community whose foundation is built on respect of our history and preservation of our historical places is an integral part of moving into our future. The footprint of the outdoor pool in this city, in particularly the Lions Pool on Vansittart Ave, is one such site. Our proposed solution is multifaceted. First, we would like the evaluation of the restoration of the Lions Pool to be reevaluated based on safety, functionality, and accessibility. Second, if the pool cannot be repaired and restored, we request that the footprint of the outdoor pool remain on this plot of land and a new outdoor pool be planned and erected. We would also like to speak to some issues that have been mentioned in respect to not being willing to spare the community this tragedy. First, the lack of parking. Parking has never been an issue to the vast majority of the people that use this pool. If the people drive, they find parking in the neighborhood, but as you are well aware, that was never a concern. The people that use this pool are not in the lifestyle of having their own pools or having liquid income where they can drive to another town that has an outdoor pool or to the lake. This is the pool that brings all the community together, but also provides a relief from the crushing temperatures of summer that it is our current and future reality. The Lions Pool serves as a place for families to gather and children to learn how to swim. According to the Drowning Prevention Research Center in Canada, there is an average of 464 preventable, unintentional water-related fatalities occurring in Canada each year. 45% of those who drown are weak or non-swimmers. Formal swimming lessons are proven to reduce the risk of drowning by 88%. Rather than tearing down this beloved landmark, we must come together as a community to repair and reopen the Lions Pool. We would like grants, fundraising, and possible use of discretionary funds to be investigated and implemented towards this project, or possibly even gift this pool back to the Lions Club where these avenues can be investigated. By preserving this piece of our history, we can continue to create a lasting memory and provide space for future generations to enjoy. Regarding a financial burden, I would like to do some very basic math. $2 million was the original report to restore the pool over the course of the next 10 years, as is the minimal prediction until Woodstock would receive a second pool, is $200,000 a year. I would also like to note that the life of the Lions Pool from opening till today is 78 years divided by 2 million is just under $27,000 a year. Sometimes memories and the creation of new memories are everything and absolutely priceless to all. I would also like to mention, when a community is gifted such a selfless and wonderful gift, it should be cherished and respected. This group here tonight is only a small sample of the support that Saving the Lions Pool exists in this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. No clapping, please. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions before Ms. Holden sits down? Counselor Tate. Yeah, sorry.
Just through the chair to Ms. Holden. So were you aware that council was doing all this before you saw it on Facebook? Because a lot of times I'm finding we're doing stuff in the council chamber and the public's not aware.
No,
That's what I thought.
no, I was not.
And speaking to the Lions Club, I think they were under the same impression that, because they were the ones who actually funded all the money for the pool when it initially opened, and I don't think they were aware either.
No, it was actually not on social media where I learned about it. I found out through some people that came into my office and asked me if we were aware. what was happening with the Lions Pool in town. And I actually had thought that it had been saved. I knew it had come in front of council, but for the life of me, I never thought that it would be something that would even be considered by this council. I was absolutely shocked.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through your worship, to Ms. Holden, to what you're speaking to, this is a discussion that started in 2015. I mean, it was brought to council, I think it was 2015, and was when it first started being spoken to about projections of closing Lions Pool. So I mean, it's a conversation that's been going on for 10 years. So I find it hard to believe that this many people weren't aware of that conversation that's been going on for so long. I'm not saying that that's to anybody's lack of paying attention or researching and stuff, but it's not a new conversation, I guess, is what I'm trying to kind of point out to the community, that when you go back and you look, I believe, and maybe Mr. Connors can correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure that the first article I read from Heart FM was from 2015, when it was brought forward to council of that term to close the pool within a certain timeline. So, you know, it's a conversation of 10 years. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with how long that had been going on for.
No, and I'm not saying that it was not a conversation. What I'm saying is I question how much information was given to the public and how much noise was made around it for so many people. And I can tell you there was people we even talked to as we marched here that were not aware of it. So there's some question around, I think, the not necessarily transparency, but the more obvious conversations that were maybe not held with the public. Around something that belongs to the community, there needs to be public conversation around it.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Thanks for coming tonight. You touched on the numbers a little bit. It's slated for demolition, has been approved for demolition at a cost of, I believe it's 500,000, give or take. And currently there are underground pipes that are being held up by 2x4s, right? Like it's not in great shape. Do you have a sense of how much could be fundraised in the community if a reconstruction at that site or a different site could occur?
No, because that's never been investigated. And I think that that's the concern from the people that I've spoke to, is that conversations never happened around what kind of fundraising could we do. Like we did a lot of fundraising, as I'm sure you're all aware, when we were doing Woodstock Hospital. There was a lot of fundraising that went into that. The community gets behind these things. And I'm not telling you that the community is behind this is any way to intimidate any of you. I'm just saying there's a lot of community support around this. And it's not just this small group. Like when we were out waving our signs, it was constant honking, and people are passionate about this. So I just would like to give it a try. It's really hard to say, you know, no, we're done, we're not doing this, when people don't feel that there was enough investigation done in how we could save this, right?
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Shanberg.
Yeah, thanks. I guess my question is more towards our clerk, Ms. Humphreys, because of the fact that this has been to the council before and the voting results before have got us to the position we are currently. What would have to be done, or what would be the procedure to be able to sort of, as they say, maybe go 180 degrees and turn things around and revive Lions Pool?
Your worship, through to Councillor Schadenberg. That would be a reconsideration of the vote from the December meeting of council, which was the capital budget approval meeting. So as a delegation is specifically requesting, it's a reconsideration. So a member of council who voted on the prevailing side would be required to bring that vote back to council. That requires a majority vote to carry, and then that particular motion to rehabilitate it versus demolish it would be back on the floor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I just want to say thank you. Always appreciate when community comes, speaks, puts thoughts, truly do, just because we don't like signage in city council, do not interpret that as we don't appreciate you being here. So thank you, everyone, for always being here, giving your thoughts. If we are moving along, any other questions before I look for a motion? No motion on the item? Counselor Schattenberg?
I'll make a motion that Woodstock City Council receive the presentation from Melissa Holden regarding the reconsideration of the closing of Lions Pool as information.
Thank you. A seconder? Counselor Wismer Van Meer, discussion or questions of staff? Counselor Tate?
Through the chair. So I realize it has to be one of the four that voted to close it to bring it back. And I think you should give serious consideration to that vote. We are here elected by the people, by the taxpayers to do what the people ask us to do. And there is a huge outcry when everybody found out. It might have been on an agenda in 2015. The public had no idea. I was on that council. We did not vote to close it. So, this is one of those things, and I'm glad that the delegation came forward. When I mentioned to another mayor that this council would not reconsider and they voted to close it, she was horrified. Her comment was, "This is your heritage." In our city, we keep that Lions Pool up to as it should be, because that is the heritage of the city. It's a very important issue for taxpayers and the people that live here. You have to have history, you have to have heritage. Never been an issue with parking, ever. So I hope that you give serious consideration to this. When that vote came, I will tell you, the most comments I had from any subject ever in my 20 years was on Lions Pool. Everywhere I went, people said to me, "You're not voting to close Lions Pool." It didn't matter where I was, funerals, Tim Hortons, people I didn't know. So this council, these four of you that voted against it, I think you should really consider what the taxpayers asked for and where they want their money spent, because a lot of times we're spending money around here and nobody knows. I don't care if it's in the paper, the public doesn't know.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Schattenberg?
In your worship, I guess I see clarification. We wouldn't do a reconsideration vote tonight that automatically goes to the next agenda 2 weeks from now, to the next city council agenda?
Yeah, we would need a new notice of motion if that was the case, not this evening. Yeah. Anyone else? Well, I'm just gonna add a little bit. I've been on council as well since 2014. This has come up numerous times. As Councillor Wismer Van Meer has mentioned, Councillor Tate and I have voted on this. Councillor Lauder and I have voted on this, keeping it going the best we can for literally 10+ years. It was a tough decision. You know, I've been a proud Lions Club member for 26 years myself. This is not about emotions. Anytime I voted, it was about dollars and cents and location. Now, Councillor Tate may not agree, but parking has been an issue. I have got lots of complaints over the years. It's unfortunate. The location, in my opinion, is not ideal. It's not that I don't want an outdoor pool. It's got nothing to do with that. But I think at the end of the day, we still got to respect the dollars and cents and spend them where they're best being spent. So, yeah. All right. And with that, any other questions or comments before I call the vote? Oh, Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through your worship, but just a comment, and this was something, and I've shared this with folks that have reached out to me about this, both for and against the closure of Lions Pool. And Jamie Lopez is the manager of the DEI Consulting Aquatic Department. He actually, this is an article from the CBC from July of 2024, but actually did a report on Lions Pool as well for the city. And in this report, he says, quote, pools that are more than 50 years old, they've outlived their life expectancies. With inflation, things don't cost the same as they did a few decades ago. So costs associated with establishing a community pool have gone up astronomically, which we know. So, I mean, when this was brought forward last time, the $2 million that was on the report from a prior year, to me, I didn't feel like that $2 million was going to cover the costs. And this was one of the many things during my research that I found. This pool's going on 80 years and hasn't been filled since 2022, which means more issues could potentially be coming. So I'm kind of with what Mayor Accioni has said. It's not that I don't agree an outdoor pool is important to our community. I just don't think that this is the right location. And trust me, if anybody loves heritage of their community, it's myself. People have watched me sit here and cry my eyes out over my grandfather's Christmas tree on Prina no longer being lit up. I love heritage. I love this community, but I also understand I'm not an expert. When somebody tells me this in a report and in an article, these are the people that I have to listen to. It can't be about what I personally feel. So.
Counselor Tate?
Just to clarify for the public, so it's not confused, the report that we got for the 2 million was to all be replaced. The building was getting replaced, the pool was getting replaced. We were not fixing the existing pool. So that was the price. If we were doing our due diligence, we could get a report and get an updated amount for the whole thing to be redone. But this council did originally pass 6 million for a brand new pool and brought it back for reconsideration and canceled it. So we are now here stuck without a pool. And I will argue to the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that location.
Counselor Leatherborough?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, since we're talking about communication, number one, I think that it's really great when residents are engaging as they have when they came in August, when they came in December, and now we're in towards the end of April. I do think that it goes a long way if you're active on social media, have coffee with your counselor, meet in the park, and try to stay engaged and available. I don't think that it's deliberate that, you know, council isn't doing their due diligence to try to share as much information as possible. And I think every counselor can go a little further around community engagement. But through you, Mr. Mayor, to the CAO, can you just clarify that piece of information that the quote for 2 million was an absolute revamp? Because I do not believe that's correct.
May I direct that to Mr. Connors from Park Rec? Thank you.
Your worship, through to the councilor's question, I can read off the 2023 July 13th Lions Pool. So this would include a new liner, replacing the pipes and fittings and backfilling, oh, sorry, the structure, that's the additional high rate filter and pump, coping stones, deck drains, modify the deep end, an accessible ramp, teaching area, and then fencing and restoration. And then the building alterations would be redevelop the change rooms, pool and showers moved out of the hallway, ensuring the building meets AODA compliance. So that's what it would cover, the 2 million.
Sorry, that was the $2 million. Thank you. So not a complete rebuild, but recondition by all means. Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions before I call the vote? Just thinking about it, this grand opening was 27 years before I was born. Lions Pool opened. Wow. All right. And with that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Carried. Next up, I'd welcome Mr. Bell. It's the OLT appeal on 401 Lakeview. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is John Bell, and I've been asked by the residents of Alder Grange and Sally Creek to speak to you tonight and make you aware of their concerns with the county council's decision to approve the applications for 401 Lakeview. Our community does appreciate that you, as our elected representatives, took the time to understand these applications and reject their extremes due to their adverse impact on our surrounding community. In contrast, our community refutes the actions of those county councilors who, with no elected mandate or accountability to the residents of Woodstock or responsibility for the impact of their decision on the community and the city, chose to override your determination without giving similar consideration to the opinions and information placed before them as legislated by the Planning Act. A particular concern was not only the disregard of our stated concerns, but also the apparent misrepresentation and misstatement of the facts placed before them, put on record as reasons for their decision. We would like to put our dissent with those positions on record. We take issue with the representation that our position was for single-family homes that would waste 50 acres of farmland, when we have consistently advocated for a median density development in compliance with the official plan, just as the government proposed, that would save 40% more farmland than the developments that have been recently proposed. We take issue with the position that similar density plans of subdivision have been approved along County Road 17 and Cairn Road, when we have consistently stated the true fact that the Fahari application is for a density more than 2.5 times greater than those other developments. We take issue with the claim that County Council has very recently approved a much higher density in Tempsford. That claim conceals the true density and overdevelopment proposed by Fahari, because the exact opposite is true. The Fahari application is for almost twice the density of Tempsford, at 75 units per hectare versus 46 for the medium density units, and 151 for Fahari versus the 83 units per hectare for the apartment blocks in Tempsford. We also take issue with the disregard given to location. The Tempsford development is to the east of town and adjacent to the downtown core. As stated in the planning report, it will have easy access to the new commercial core, the existing downtown, and existing amenities and services. The Fahari development is in the middle of our low-density neighborhood, remote and isolated from our downtown core, with few existing amenities or services and poor transit to get there. Lastly, we take issue with the disregard of and lack of consideration for our two land planning opinions, upon which the Planning Act requires these decisions to be based, and the multiplicity of alternate reasons cited by the councilors for approval of these applications that had nothing to do with land planning matters. We believe that County Council erred in their decision based on these facts, and that their decision should be reviewed by the Ontario Land Tribunal in regard to the true facts and in consideration of the expert land use planning opinions presented by the various parties. As Bill 185 prevents us, as the community, from directly appealing these oversights, we ask that you approve the recommendation to appeal this county decision, such that our community can join in that appeal. We also would like to remind council, as presented in the public meeting, that we seek not to refuse this development, but rather to modify the proposal in consideration of our community and its safety. As such, we also request that council attempt to address these differences with the applicant, and that we be included to participate in that representation of those modifications. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Bell in presentation? Seeing none, thank you very much. No resolution is required as this delegation refers to Department Report Item 14G1 that will be discussed a little later on. Brings us to consideration of planning reports. 9A B 25-06-A, application for consent for Hunt Property 124 Stony Road. Mr. Gilbert, welcome.
Thank you. This is a consent application seeking to create a new vacant residential lot abutting an existing single detached dwelling on the west side of Stony Road. The lands are known as 124 Stony Road. They're designated low density residential. They're zoned R2. The applicant intends to, once the severance is complete, construct an addition to the existing dwelling, essentially to make it a semi-detached dwelling. So each unit would be separately owned, and the common well will be along the proposed lot line. Overall, staff are supportive of the proposal. This area has a number of different lot sizes and dwelling types, including townhouses on Henry Street and a variety of lot sizes on Stony Road. It's also noted that the R2 zone, which the property is currently zoned, does permit a semi-detached dwelling, so that's a permitted use. In light of this, staff recommend support of the proposed consent.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion. Counselor Lauder?
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council advise the Land Division Committee that the city supports the proposal to sever subject lands subject to conditions 1 through 6 outlined in the report, and further that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to the planning matter.
Thank you. Second by Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion or any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Next up, 9B ZN 8-25-02, application for zone change for 572 Main Street. Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you. This is a zone change application to amend the M4-4 zone for this subject property to allow a personal service shop as a permitted use. The property is in the south side of Main Street between Wellington and Victoria. The property is zoned transitional industrial. There is a special policy area for the official plan for this property, which permits business and professional office to a maximum of 700 square feet. The applicant's proposing to change that use from the business and professional office to a personal service office. Overall, the transitional industrial policies do allow for some flexibility for existing industrial buildings such this. In this location, there's a number of residential uses in the area, as well as a veterinarian office immediately to the west. So the proposed personal service use will be more compatible than perhaps some of the industrial uses that are proposed. But given the limited size of the office at 700 square feet, staff are supportive of it as it won't impact overall the existing industrial use in the building. As such, staff recommend approval of the application.
Thank you. Questions of the planner? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the application for zone change for lands described as Plan 34 Lots 6 to 8 in the city of Woodstock to amend the special transitional industrial zone M4-4 by adding a personal service shop as a permitted use to be included in the maximum gross floor area for business and professional offices on these subject lands. And further, that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Counselor Leatherbarrow? Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up, 9C, OP 25-01-8 and zone change 8-25-01 for 427 Woodall Way. Mr. Gilbert.
This is an official plan amendment and zone change to allow for an indoor sports use within a portion of existing building. These lands were part of the city's industrial park that was developed some time ago. The applicant proposes to rededicate a portion of the space up to approximately 10,200 square feet for an indoor recreational use. The lands are designated business park in the official plan. Their lands are also located within the Southeast Woodstock secondary plan. That secondary plan did allow for a municipal recreation facility, but it doesn't allow for a private recreational use as proposed. So hence the reason behind the official plan amendment. Overall, staff are supportive of the proposal. The proposed indoor sports use will remain compatible with the surrounding uses, including the residential uses abutting to the west. The business park designation does allow for a broader range of uses that are compatible with the proposed use. And given the limited area of the indoor sports area, the site will still be large enough to accommodate the required parking. And should that use cease to exist, that space could easily be re-tenanted for an industrial use or a business park use as permitted. So given that, staff recommends support of the official plan amendment and approval in principle of the requested zoning change.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Seeing none, this was well explained on Monday evening, of course, at the planning meeting. Looking for a motion. Councillor Lauder.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council advise County Council that the city supports the application to amend the official plan, file number OP 25-01-8, submitted by B&R Holding Inc. for lands legally described as Block 1, Plan 41M311, City of Woodstock, to create a special policy area within the business park designation to facilitate an indoor recreational building with maximum gross floor area of 945 square meters, 10,171.9 square feet on the subject lands, and further that the Woodstock City Council approve in principle the zone change application file number ZN 8-25-01 submitted by BNR Holding Inc. for lands legally described Block 1, Plan 41M311 in the City of Woodstock to rezone to subject lands to special prestige industrial zone M1 special to permit a recreational building, indoor sports with a maximum gross floor area of 945 square meters, 10,171.9 square feet on the subject lands, and further that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Any further questions or discussion? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. I had a question that was a little more finance and tax related, so I didn't ask it in planning the other night. In the change of this zoning from more of a prestige industrial to a recreation use, does that change the tax rate on the use, or does it remain the same as a general industrial or a special prestige industrial would?
Your worship, through to the councillor's question, the tax rate would probably change to commercial, and that would be a lower tax rate than the industrial tax rate.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Schadenberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to Len Magyar, our development commissioner. We did briefly talk about this the other night. My guess would be, because this Woodall Way was originally owned by the city of Woodstock and therefore was kind of earmarked to be prestige industrial or commercial all the way along, is this setting a precedent at all, do you think, whatsoever, that this land's formerly owned by the city of Woodstock, sold to a developer, is now 1/3 of that building will be used for a recreational use?
Your worship, through to Councillor Schadenberg. I must admit, I do struggle a little bit with recreational uses pushing their way into industrial. I think in this case, we have to look at the specifics, that it's an existing structure. They've struggled a little bit to find tenants. And I think the fact that there's caps on the size of the square footage and that sort of thing, that it's acceptable in this case. As a municipality, if we're going back in history, it's probably not something we would have, our preference probably would have been for industrial, because that, of course, that's employment and taxes and everything else that goes with it. But I think in this case, our department can support this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. That brings us to consideration of correspondence, 10A Lions Club of Woodstock reinvest in Lions Pool. Looking for a motion, Councillor Tate.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council receive the correspondence from the Lions Club of Woodstock regarding reinvestment in Lions Pool as information.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Lauder, discussion? Councillor Tate.
I just want to note a couple of things in the correspondence from the Lions Club. So the history, and I know Councillor Schadenberg had brought this to our attention before, but it was all completely fundraised from the Lions Club and the community. The pool site was purchased from the estate of the Ball family, and the pool was built by a local company, which is still in operation today, which is Vance Construction. So the reason I mentioned that is because, as noted before, we have a very generous community. And I think if it's given the chance for the community to fundraise, I think you would see people step up. As noted, Vance is still in business today. I also like to point out the Lions Club is not as big as it used to be, but they're very mighty. So I think a shout out should be given to all their efforts and their fundraising. And noted in the letter, they recently contributed financial commitment of 25,000 to the Woodstock Hospital's chemotherapy IV infusion clinic expansion and upgrades. And a few years ago, the club combined resources to purchase a large scale generator for Secure House. So I think it's important for people to understand these service groups in the community, what they mean to the community, the work they've done to the community, and they should be recognized. And once again, I'll just say, hopefully that the rest of council takes to heart what they've said. As noted, I voted originally when it first came to close and then realized I made a mistake. So there's nothing ever wrong with saying you've made a mistake, and you can reconsider what you've done, especially when you hear from the community that voted us in.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I just want to echo what Councillor Tate said with the work that the Lions Club of Woodstock do, and not even just necessarily Woodstock's, Lions Clubs kind of throughout our county. I've worked in not-for-profit for over 10 years now, and they're one of the first groups that I will often call when I need help with running a barbecue or need assistance in some capacity. They've always been very generous that way. So, any discussions that I have or anything that I've said in regards to the pool is absolutely at no slight to the work that they've done and the dedication they have to our community. It would never be an insult to them. That would never be what anything I'm saying is meant to come across as. And I do appreciate them putting this letter together and outlining the work that they've done in this community, because I definitely have seen the benefits of it and very much appreciate the work that they do.
Yes, thank you. In fact, I really appreciated the letter as well, I gotta say. Seeing Jack Poole's name in the letter brings back a lot of memories of what he did as a Lion Club, but also as involved so heavily here in the city, going about and raising the $38,000 needed in 1946 when this was brought forward. So we're always open. We would love to get some community partners. There's going to be lots of opportunity, further buildings, rec facilities being discussed in these council chambers, and please stay involved and take a look. And we'd love to have partners like that. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. No presentations from staff or approved agents, no mayor's reports, no councillor reports, but we do have some department reports. From 14 Administrative Services, 14A1, 2024 to 2025 dedicated gas tax funding for public transportation. Councillor Schattenberg.
I'll make a motion that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding the 2024 to 2025 dedicated gas tax funding for public transportation to the bylaw section of the agenda.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Wismar Van Meer. Discussion? Questions? Councillor Schattenberg.
I guess maybe we could ask somebody from the engineering department to comment on the 609,654 that Woodstock has allocated for the gas tax fund this year, and specifically maybe some of the areas that might go to besides just buying buses.
Through the mayor to the councilor's question, that is one that I'll have to take away and follow up with an email.
Fair enough. Can you help? The CAO can help.
Your worship, through to Councillor Schattenberg. The provincial dedicated gas tax gets split essentially between capital, the capital budget for the replacement of or the rehabilitation of transit buses, for other capital investments in public transit. Some element of it is also incorporated into the revenue fund budget to defray the cost of transit as well as paratransit.
There you go. Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Martin.
More of a question that just came up today when I noticed a social media post that Stratford Transit has unveiled its fleet of hybrid buses. Would this, if something like this were to happen here in Woodstock, would this impact the amount of gas tax we would be eligible for if you were in a hybrid situation, or it would remain the same?
Your worship, through to Councillor Martin, no, it does not. The formula for the provincial dedicated gas tax is premised on ridership and population. And so it doesn't take into account the type of vehicle that you're operating.
Continue.
So just to follow up on that, if it was a pure electric fleet, would you still get a gas tax because of the formula? Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. And if those in the hallway would like to come in, we have lots of seats available. You're more than welcome. Come on in. Okay. Next up, statement of revenue and expenditure and statement of capital. Looking for a motion? Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council receive the statement of revenue and expenditure and the statement of capital expenditures for the period ending March 31st, 2025 as information.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Wismar Van Meer. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Next up, we have the 2024 Revenue Fund Budget Surplus. Looking for a motion. Councillor Lauder.
I'll move that that the City of Woodstock Council approve the allocation of the 2024 surplus to the reserve for capital projects.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wismar Van Meer. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That is carried, none opposed. Nothing from engineering, cultural services, parks and rec, but we do have economic development this evening. 14E.1, request for approval to transfer a small lot on Petulo Avenue to Enbridge Gas, Inc. Looking for a motion? Counselor Schanberg?
The Woodstock City Council authorized the mayor and clerk to sign an agreement of purchase and sale with Enbridge Gas, Inc., and that the necessary bylaws be read.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder? Counselor Leatherborough, discussion or questions? Counselor Schanberg?
I guess maybe this question goes back to Development Commissioner Len Magyar. I would direct it to him. What does Enbridge need the 0.22 acres for on Petulo?
Your worship, through to Councillor Schadenberg, basically what this is it's a upgrade to their infrastructure in that area. So given that it's an industrial area, it's going to be better for the various companies in that area, and also gives them some opportunity for future growth.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, speaking of this area, get out, go for a drive and look at the businesses being built. I was by there this afternoon after a visit with one of our local businesses, and wow, a lot of businesses going up. With that, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Next up, 14E.2, easy blocks, patios. Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council authorizes the capital expenditure of 65,000 plus HST for EZ blocks, and that the funds be taken from the downtown reserve, and that a fee of 2,000 per patio per season plus installation fee be approved.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion or questions? Counselor Leatherborough.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I know that Mrs. Carrie Baird is in-house, so I was wondering if she could just come forward and, for the public's benefit, just kind of outline this report and what this means.
Welcome, Ms. Baird.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Leatherbarrow. What has happened with our existing patio program is that there were pop-up patios or self-built patios utilized using the curbs. The new streetscape design does not have the same curb structure, so those structures cannot be used. In the original discussions with MHBC, it was discussed to do a consistent uniform patio across like style, looking at different ones that were more cost effective or different options that were available. Easy blocks was one that was suggested and was investigated as being the best option, in the fact that they are essentially grown up blocks. Legos. So they do offer the flexibility that they are sturdy. There is rebar in them. They are a very sturdy structure with the grip that they have, but then they also have the ability that you can dismantle them and make them into letters or a winter market or different uses. The rental for them, since they are out of Toronto, they are totally Canadian based, so it's a totally 100% Canadian product. If it was each person had to rent them each year, it could be between $4,000 and $8,000 depending on the size of their patio. So it is cost effective. It also gives us the flexibility to use them for if we wanted to expand Christmas in the Square.
Continue, Councillor Leatherborough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for that. And so in your report, I noted that the funding's coming from the downtown reserve. There's 66,000 earmarked for the streetscape master plan, which is no longer needed. So it looks like you saved $1,000 too. So just wanted to make sure that was accurate. Thanks.
That is correct.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. So these would be owned by the city. How easy or hard are these to assemble or disassemble? Like, do they have to be picked up with a forklift and stored the way they look and feel throughout the summer? Or do they do you dismantle them and put them away like your Legos? And where would the city store these in the off season?
So through your worship to the councilor's question, we have discussed with some work staff of storage options. They are pallet stored. They are currently stored at their factory outside. So they don't need to be covered. They have a 10-year warranty. They're quite durable. Once they're disassembled, they say that the hardest part of the assembly of it is actually the rebar that goes in to sturdy. Once that is unwound, the mechanism is unwound, it is literally taking apart blocks. Their team does a standard patio installation in less than an hour.
A follow-up then. This is designed to fit within the new streetscape and the different shape of the curbs. If for some reason, because nothing is ever guaranteed, if for some reason the entire streetscape was not completed, would these fit within the current size and shape of the curb?
Correct. Yes, they do. We also have an option to not buy all of them at once.
Thank you. That was my question. For sure. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Through your worship to Ms. Baird. I have two questions, so I'll just ask them at the same time. The first one is the businesses that are currently using patios. Have you been able to consult with them, talk with them to see if this is an avenue they would prefer to go? And kind of to tail off of that, are businesses going to be required to use these patios if they apply for a permit this year?
Through your worship to the councilor's questions. I've discussed with probably of the 6 people that consistently have patios, I've talked to 3. This is a cheaper solution for them. For some people, it's significantly cheaper. They like the idea of it. It does also give them the flexibility. We're currently right now, we have a lot of variety in what our patios look like and how they are constructed. So this does give them a uniform look and also uniform placement. So for a lot of them, because of them having to do the sidewalk wraparound currently, they won't have to do that. So that would also give them a larger patio space.
Thank you. Counselor Martin.
Then I have a follow-up question to that then. So if we don't have to do a sidewalk walk around, where does pedestrian traffic go? In between the patio and the storefront?
Correct, yes. And licensing has checked with the AGC, pardon me, through your worship, the council's question. Through the AGCO it's actually it is up to the municipality to decide what their standard is. If they want servers to, go through pedestrian traffic or not. Many municipalities do not use a pedestrian bypass. Most of them do use the sidewalk as their traditional sidewalk, and then just serve in the area. You just have to have an entrance directly into the patio.
So then as a follow-up perhaps to the clerk, will this mean require an amendment to our alcohol policy?
Your worship, through to Councillor Martin, no, it won't. Our licensing clerk did contact the AGCO and have that conversation, and we're okay to move forward.
Thank you. Curious, and I never thought of this till now, through to you, Ms. Baird. Do we know of any businesses that own their own patios that have gone out and purchased their own already, or are they all rentals?
There are 2 existing businesses that have their own.
I do. Thank you. Counselor Lauder.
Thank you. At this time, I cannot support this request. I realize the funding for this expense is from the Downtown Reserve Fund. We do not have the project complete yet, and now a proposal to spend more money to accommodate these structures. I'm concerned about the economy going forward and those who cannot afford the rent and taxes and possibly food, and we're spending this money. I know it's in a reserve, but still, do we have to spend it? Through the mayor to Mrs. Baird, Are the proposed structures all to be installed in the phase one area? And who would be installing the structures and dismantling them in the fall, and at whose expense?
Your worship, to the councilor's question. I did the total number of blocks that would be needed for any business throughout streetscape to have a patio. So it is a lot of blocks. It is more than what would be needed for, if you look at, we've already had 2 new businesses put in patio applications for this year. They're not in phase one, but they're also, if this was something we did as a standard practice along Dundas, they would require them at some point. So we do have flexibility in quantity. The concern is that in phase one, the patios that those businesses do currently own or rent will not be useful this summer. And I'm sorry, did I miss a question?
Yes, who will be
Oh,
installed?
it's,
Sorry.
sorry, thank you. This is step one. Step two is to actually have a company that is trained by Easy Block to install and dismantle. If I were to put them into Museum Square for the use of downtown for Christmas or whatnot, that would be my expense for installation and removal. The businesses would pay the installation and removal directly. They're paying us for the rental of the blocks.
So, just so I understand, so the expense of installing and dismantling each year, is that at our expense or at the business expense?
Through your worship, to the councilor's question, it's at the business's expense.
Okay.
And it is far less cost than what they would normally pay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? It's still on, Councilor Lauder. Yeah. These darn mics. Anyone else before I call a question? Okay, thank you, Ms. Baird. And with that, no more further discussion or questions. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried 4-3. Next up from the Clerk's Department, 14F.1, Citizen Appointment to the Museum Advisory Committee, 2025 to 2026. Counselor Tate?
I'll move the Woodstock City Council appoint Jim Harrison to the Museum Advisory Committee for a term from April 17th, 2025 to November 14th, 2026.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Schadenberg. Discussion or questions? Counselor Tate?
Just a comment through the chair. Just happy to see Jim back on the committee. He's been on it for years prior, so he's good knowledge for the city.
Yes, definitely. He was here on Monday evening, and their family business started in 1862 here in the city, so he certainly has a lot of history. And anybody that's been through the business there knows that. Counselor Lauder?
Thank you. And I think he made the comment that he just missed out on putting his name in at the time that everyone else should have done that. So I'm glad to see him back, had the opportunity to come back.
Absolutely agreed. Counselor Schadenberg?
And as someone who's currently on the Museum Advisory Committee, I want to thank Eleanor Gardhouse for her many years being on the Museum Advisory Committee. Now, she's still on the Heritage Advisory Committee, so she hasn't walked away from the city of Woodstock completely, but Eleanor has certainly done more than her fair share, especially when it comes to exterior facades of houses and stuff in the city of Woodstock, and tracking and really doing a great job of knowing what the Victorian homes in Woodstock are and from one street to the next.
Yes, absolutely. Had the pleasure on a few committees to stand or sit with her. Absolutely. Anyone else? With that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. 14F.2, Records Retention Schedule Annual Update. Looking for a motion. Counselor Leatherborough.
sorry. Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council refer the updated records retention schedule to the bylaw section of the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Lauder, questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that's carried. From the CAO's office, 14G.1, OLT Appeal 401 Lakeview. Looking for a motion, Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council directs the CAO to file a notice of appeal with the Ontario Land Tribunal for applications OP 23-02-8 and SB 23-03-8.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder? Counselor Schadenberg. Questions or discussion? Counselor Martin?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Accioni. I'm gonna state very openly that I won't be supporting this motion. This council made a decision. I wasn't here that day, regrettably. In hindsight, wish I could have been, but that's what hindsight is. This council made a decision to not approve this application, knowing it would go to appeal. And knowing that it will cost taxpayer dollars to launch this appeal. Lawyers, planners, application fee. It might be a few $1,000s, it might be dozens of thousands of dollars. We don't know that yet. And in the end, I don't believe that this application, that this development will change all that much. There might be minor tweaks that get negotiated out, or it might stay exactly the way it is. But that's the chance, the risk that we take in sending things to the Ontario Land Tribunal is that we lose all control over the process and the outcome. So I won't be voting for this. I think the appeal is completely unnecessary and the appeal of the official plan amendment egregious.
Thank you, Counselor Tate.
Through the chair, I'll speak in favor of this. As noted before in other meetings when we've discussed this, these provincial policies are all deemed towards Toronto, not to our small communities. As I said before, the housing issue is a Toronto problem, the big cities, it's not a Woodstock problem. We don't need all this housing. And as noted in a number of the presentations, when this was sold and the plan was on the land, nobody had any problem. This is way too dense and it's had to change, ask for zone change, bylaw changes, all kinds of changes. Noting that a lot of municipalities are pushing back and hopefully that the board is taking in consideration of local municipalities. As I said before, all this housing has a terrible impact on the current taxpayer. So this may cost to fight it, but the cost in the end for having all this housing is going to be thousands and thousands of dollars on all taxpayers. So I fully support this and that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Schadenberg.
Yeah, thanks. I've certainly voted against 401 Lakeview from day one. We'll continue to vote against the premise of the 401 Lakeview. So therefore, I'm in favor of the city going forward with their appeal to the tribunal. And everyone sort of has their own, that have voted against it, that is, has their own sort of ideas and thoughts as far as intensifications go. The one that really has bothered me, and I've said it publicly before, is to put the stackable townhouses backing onto Lakeview across the street from homes that any impact or a person for any kind of an assessment would say, well, that's for a ballpark figure, a $1.2 million house. Why is there stackable townhouses across the street from it? It really is a blatant awful mistake to allow that and to have any developer or builder think he can go forward with that without appealing it.
Anyone else? Well, I'll just add that I am going to vote in favor of this, though with some hesitancy, I've got to say. I do know the fight that is coming forward is going to be difficult. Or I'm hoping more for some kind of negotiations more than a fight, I guess. Fight's a hard word to use. I want to thank not only the community that's been very loud and organized. As I've said many times, I appreciate that. But I also want to thank the developer. The developer has listened. They have made a lot of changes throughout here. We haven't always necessarily agreed with them, but I do feel that the developer has been trying to work as well. Adding underground parking and some additional parking are huge steps that we don't normally see willingly by developers. So this one has been difficult for me. As mentioned by Councillor Schattenberg, the 4 stories has been something for me that hasn't sat right in an existing neighborhood. As well, I like to really was hoping for more visitor parking. I can see parking being a little chaotic in the neighborhood. But at the end of the day, I recognize it checks a lot of the boxes, the OLT. So this is going to be difficult. There's no question. I haven't hid that from anyone I've spoken to on this. No slant at all to the county. County and the city of Woodstock have a fantastic working relationship. Planning departments are working so well together, and this is not a slant to them either. It's just council, I've got my concerns, and I'm going to stick with that and follow along, and that's why I'm going to vote in favor of this tonight. Anyone else before I call the vote? Councillor Lauder.
I'm also going to vote in favor of it. I worked with and read all the, especially that Mr. Bell has been sending out, all the information. And I want to thank the community for working together and doing this, all their support for one another. And it is going to be a fight, and it's those 4-story stack houses. That's a very big concern of mine too. I wouldn't want that across from my home, and hopefully that there might be something done there. And of course, I'm always concerned about parking because I see the apartment across from where I live, and there's a lot of parking on the street. So, but I am in support of this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried 6-1. Nothing from human resources, nothing from fire services, or public works or IT this evening. That brings us to special committee and advisory task force reports. 15A, Mayor's Community and Social Wellbeing Task Force Terms of Reference. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council adopt the terms of reference for the Mayor's Community and Social Wellbeing Task Force.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Leatherborough. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'd like to comment slightly on this one as well. I want to thank the committee. The committee has been meeting on a very regular basis. The terms of reference is just to try to put something in place for just as much for the public as well as the committees. It is a little bit loose, and it's designed to have some flexibility depending on the priorities of the day. Three priorities have been recognized, of course, and that is homelessness, especially through encampments as of late, food insecurities, as well as youth. Those are the 3 primary focuses decided on the current task force right now. And I appreciate everyone's considerations on these terms of reference. With that, is there any other further questions or comments? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried 5-2. Next up, 2025 funding request, 15B. Looking for a motion, Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approves 30,000 from the Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve to fund a 2025 youth excursions and Friday night youth nights pilot program.
Thank you. Second by Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion, Counselor Leatherborough.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just calling everybody up from the crowd. Danielle Cicerelli is here, and I would just like if she could come up and explain what this is about and this request.
Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. This down. Good evening. As Mayor Accioni alluded to, 3 priorities of the Mayor's Task Force is encampments, youth, and food insecurities. I was asked to develop some programs, some initiatives for youth here in Woodstock that would engage them. And as a pilot project, I had developed 3 types of programs that were brought to the Mayor's Task Force 3 weeks ago. The Mayor's Task Force table unanimously was very supportive of these programs, which include excursions out of the city, Friday night fun nights at Cowan Park Sportsplex, and some theme nights as well too.
What can you tell those that are not involved with the youth committee about their response to some of these ideas?
Sure. So the Youth Advisory Committee has been reinvigorated. We have 5 appointed members. We've had 3 meetings to date. We'll be meeting every month moving forward for the remaining of the year, with the exception of July and August. These ideas did come partially from the Youth Advisory Committee on what they would like to see here in the Woodstock, all things arts, culture, sports, and recreation. So some of these programming ideas, such as pickleball nights, swim nights, public skating nights, are of those that they would like to see.
Don't forget the bubble soccer.
Bubble soccer, yes.
There's a lot
Flag
of
football,
excitement
yes.
with that, yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from council? Councilor Wismer Van Meer.
Kind of just maybe through your worship to Mr. Cicerelli, thank you for your work on this, because I know it's not easy to come up with these pilot projects kind of on not a lot of notice, unfortunately, and I think you did a really good job about it. But I think what I kind of appreciate about this, and maybe you can kind of expand on it a bit, is the fact that these are going to be free events for young people in our community to go to, looking at transportation being accessible for any of those folks that might face those barriers, but also just having that opportunity. I think of when I was a kid, there used to be Fry-Wise that happened, and as much as I didn't get to attend those as often myself because of transportation barriers, I know a lot of people that I grew up with did. So maybe just kind of understanding from the recreation side of it, speaking to a little bit of what we've lacked for free events for our youth to be a part of.
Sure. In addition to, this is the first time that we will be celebrating National Youth Week, which is May 1st to 7th. So working alongside the Youth Advisory Committee to find out what it is that they'd like to see happen throughout that week. So we've been fortunate enough with some sponsors through the community where we've been able to also have public swim sponsors and public skate sponsors for that week. Now, in relation to the Youth Advisory Committee, when we look at subsidization, so some of these funds will subsidize the transportation for the excursions and the Friday night fun nights. And we encourage all youth to come out to our advisory committees, not having that barrier to participation. The other thing I want to note too is that we did have some discussions about utilizing the fee assistance and recreation funds for youth, so that if any youth did want to participate in any programs, then they would be able to apply through the FAIR program.
Thank you. Councilor Schattenberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to Danielle. I guess my first question is we all like to see more and more programs possibly being out there for youth, but does this not somewhat compete? Or maybe you can explain how the mandates might be different with what the Brightside Youth Hub is trying to do in the city of Woodstock. They'll have open night basketball, and say on a Thursday night, and some other activities from cooking, the crafting and whatnot that they're involved with. And I noticed even on their website, Children's Aid Society, Canadian Mental Health Association, Wellkin, Canadian Employment Center, Woodstock Hospital, Oxford County Community Health Center are all sponsors or assistance for them, and they've got provincial funding as well. So I just want to make sure you're not stepping on somebody else's feet to create this program as much needed as it might be.
Your worship, the councillor's question. I am familiar with Brightspace. All I can say to that is I'm not overly familiar with the programming that they're offering. I was asked to develop programming from the mayor's task force, and with that proposal, some of the organizations that you mentioned were around that table and were very supportive of the initiatives and programming that were put forward.
Councillor Schadenberg.
Unrelated, different question. If you were to do an out-of-town excursion, let's say it was to a Blue Jays game, we did talk on the phone earlier today, how would you kind of break that down between buying tickets, buying food, buying the bus, or renting the bus for the day? How would you break that down for a program such as yours?
Your worship, the councillor's question. This is all factored into that dollar figure that we are requesting for. So we know through camps and recreation programs that one of our biggest financial barriers is transportation. And so transportation would be covered through these funds. And then we would look at doing potential partnerships, maybe some connecting with the Blue Jays Foundation, and the Blue Jays do offer a camp day, which I've been a part of in previous history, and they do have very minimal cost ticket sales for camp day specifically. So for your question, like for the breakdown of fees, this is something that would have to get developed and really truly understand how much it would cost and if it is a viable option, if that is something that the youth wanted to do. We don't have to go to Toronto. There is a lot of wonderful opportunities within Woodstock, as well as the surrounding areas. But if that was an idea, we could look at it.
Thank you. I'm going to make a quick comment, if you don't mind, to Councillor Schadenberg. I've spoken at length with those in the mayor's task force and the social wellbeing task force, including Welkin. They are very encouraged for anything youth related, especially on other nights, to keep people active. I think that's one of the reasons Fridays are being looked at so well, because there isn't anything else being offered here in the city on a Friday evening anymore. Those of us that do remember nights at the Y on a Friday evening have some great memories, of course. But just to answer your question fully, it fully support. There is no objections whatsoever to anybody in that room. And that, like, the fact encouragement was given. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
And just to kind of something that Councillor Schadenberg was speaking to, the youth excursions actually target youth 13 to 21. So these are young people that can't be a part of the summer programs, the summer camps and such. And, you know, working in youth agencies, I can tell you that is a very large demographic of our young people that are often overlooked or not. We just can't meet the needs, unfortunately. That is a pretty broad number, and it's kind of hard to always find these. So what I liked about this pilot idea of the youth excursions was that this is for that age group that's a bit older. So
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Atchoni. The Friday night youth nights, it won't be just drop in. People will have to register so that you have an idea for staffing and food and so on.
Your worship, the councillor's question, that's correct.
So registration through the city's website,
Correct.
just like any other program?
Correct.
And there is a summer youth coordinator position. Has that been posted at all yet, or it won't be posted until potential approval tonight?
Your worship, through to the councillor's question, that will not be posted until approval is reached.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
Through the chair, and I don't have any questions, but I want to thank you for all your work. So the reason I didn't support the terms of reference, because this mayor's task force was started, I thought, for the encampments. And that's why I okayed the money. So we've had all these encampments. We're already over budget for this year, and the budget that was put in was only 80,000. To me, the main concern in this city is encampments and food insecurity. I appreciate the youth issue, but I raised 2 children here who still are here and have never had an issue with things not to do. And I'm just going to read off a few things that are free. Tennis courts, basketball, pickleball, amazing trail system, walk or bike ride. We've spent thousands on things they could volunteer, Woodstock Little Theater, or join art gallery, museums. There's all kinds of opportunities for volunteering. When I was in high school, I volunteered at Children's Aid to help tutor kids, part-time jobs. And then I asked one of the school board trustees about what do high schools offer. And the reason I asked this is because a lot of the way that when children, like as a young, and they go up to high school, a lot of their patterns are maybe already adopted, but the high school has a huge impact on children. And the reason I say that is my son had a learning disability. And then when he got to grade 8, all of a sudden he was able to read and write. And the reason was, he said, was the teachers. So the teachers have a big function in this. So once he was able to do that, he joined all these organizations. So I reached out to the school. This is one school in Woodstock. So they have cross country, golf, boys hockey, girls field hockey, girls fast pitch, boys soccer, track and field, junior boys volleyball, senior boys volleyball, junior girls volleyball, senior girls volleyball, wrestling, swimming, girls rugby, ultimate frisbee, tennis. And then they have all kinds of clubs. So there's art council, music, band, choir, barbell club, baking club, breakfast club, chess club, coding club, culture club. There's about 20 other ones. So while I appreciate the thought to the youth, we are going to have people in the city that aren't going to afford their taxes or buy groceries. That $150,000 that we approved should go to the cleanup of the encampments and to help these people. $18,000 of this 30,000 is for a staff position. If it was me, I'd take if you want to do something with 30,000, give it to Operation Sharing for food insecurity. That's how you help the youth. I have a very close personal relationship with somebody that grew up in public housing. He didn't care about any of this stuff. All he cared about is that they got food. And I think we have to get back to the basics on this. Yeah, it'd be great to take kids on a trip. We got people that can't buy groceries. So the whole point of this mayor's task force was for encampments and helping those in need. I understand we want to help the youth. We have a ton of stuff in this city, and I am tired of hearing we have nothing. My kids grew up here. I never once heard from them. Oh, there's nothing to do tonight. Get your kids outside, go out with your kids, do stuff, and get them involved. We have all kinds of stuff here, and there's lots of people that would take volunteers. So for me, I cannot pass this, especially when, and I appreciate the staff work that has gone into this. So when I look at this group, and this is one of the cautions that I had, we have all these silos, and Mayor has talked about, we have all these silos, everybody doing the same thing. So we got one more. This 150,000 should just be a budget line going to encampments, because it's going to go back on the taxpayer again. So I cannot support this, and I'll ask for a recorded vote.
Well, thank you, Councillor Tate. I'm glad you could afford to put your child into so many different things.
I didn't put my kids in, and I was a single mother
I know.
on my own. So you cannot speak like that.
Can you let me finish? I
No,
respect
point
you.
of order. Do not comment on my life or my children. Thank you.
I'm speaking from myself as somebody that did grow up with a single mother as well, who was sent to different camps on different circumstances that
Point of order. If
were
you want to
low.
get into debate, leave the chair.
I'm not debating. This is just a statement. So, thank you. Fully support what we're trying to do with the youth. We have to do more. It's quite clear. I welcome any counselor to a future task force meeting to listen to those around the room and talk about the issues we're having here in the city. This one does touch close for me. A lot of thoughts have gone through, and And I gotta think the youth committee is excited. We brought back a youth committee to have something brought forward and not followed through. I'd be very disappointed not to push for this on their behalves and for all those youth. As Councillor Van Meer mentioned, there is a gap clearly identified here within the city. And for those reasons, I fully support this and will back this and go from there. Councillor Leatherborough?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to Danielle, one question that you didn't touch on was just more information around the actual position. I think you and I had chatted about the uptick in registration for summer camps. So just for my benefit, if you could just elaborate on that piece.
Sure. Your worship, through the councillor's question. I am transitioning over to manager of Cowan Park Sportsplex. There will be a new individual transitioning into my role. And as such, over the last 3 years since I've come on board with the city, we have tripled operations, summer camp programming. Back in 2022, we had just over 700 kids attend summer camp operations. Last year, we finished the summer off with just over 2,100, and we have accommodated 2,600 spots for this summer. So as such, this position, whoever that person may be, will have their hands very full with summer camp operations, staff training, and other getting ready for fall winter programming. So this youth coordinator position would help and work alongside this individual to develop programming and deliver.
Thank you. Any other comment? Councillor Tate?
Yeah, just for everyone's benefit, before you leave tonight, since we've been talking, this money should have gone to campus. Beth is here in the audience tonight. I know she's contacted everybody. You should hear what she has to live through and the mess it's gonna be to clean that up. So I think she would probably appreciate that the mayor's task force concentrated more on the encampment because it affects a lot of people. And for the record, I was a single mom, couldn't afford that stuff, and my kids did it all for free. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Lauder?
Thank you. I will not be supporting this at the 30,000 funding, especially for the youth excursions. I think the Friday night youth nights here in the city is, it's a great idea, but youth excursions outside the city, I just don't believe in that. With the 18,000 out of that 30,000 is going to a staff member, and I know with all your position and your jobs, you cannot handle this. You have enough on your plate as it is, and so I think that the mandate for the 2025 should be for encampment cleanup, homeless and food. And I contacted Ms. Horan. There has already been 2 large sites and 3 small sites cleaned up by contractor and whatever that cost might be. And also she has said that there's 14 active encampments within the city and county. I don't know why the county's in that number and how many. There's 3 abandoned sites on city or city-owned property. There's also on private property, and I know we don't clean up private property, but it is out there, and there's 14 abandoned sites in other private properties. So for that reason, I will not be supporting this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Schanberg?
I guess a question through to you, Mayor. The $150,000 that would be taken from the OLG slot reserve fund, that was earmarked for the mayor's task force, was it not, to be met with and therefore decided as a house is the best to spend that?
Yes, that is correct. If you recall, when that was initially set up, that it was that mine statically?
I think maybe it was my mic, like there's a fan running on it or something.
Yeah, that's better. Apologies. It was set up with the idea to look at what priorities are being recognized within the city. It's always been looking at all options open to Salvation Army. We've helped DASO before. We have helped Operation Sharing multiple times. We have certainly looked at and addressed certain requests as they've come forward. The 150,000 is not on the taxpayer. That does come from the portion from the OLG that is provided to us. The again, most things have gone through the entire amount of the task force. But I've always said that at the end of the day, we'll always come forward to have a council vote when anytime the dollars are being spent, like this time. Councillor Schattenberg.
So if the task force has a budget of 150,000 from OLG slots, your plan or your desire is to spend, or at least your committee's desire is to spend all 150,000 on youth programming for 2025, and therefore leaving nothing for Operation Sharing or food safety?
No, absolutely not. Thank you for that question. That's the reason this is at the $30,000 level with $120,000 still remaining to be up for discussion between any encampments, homeless, and of course, food insecurity needs that are coming forward. I am familiar with a food insecurities request coming forward through the task force. That'll be in front of council soon for some of that money as well. Does that answer your question, Councillor Schattenberg? Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
More or less just a general comment, I think, through you, Worship. We're speaking a lot about encampments, but in budget, we passed an encampment response team that's going to now be responsible for these cleanups and taking care of these jobs. So is that not why that task, that new positions, that new team was created, was to address encampments? I don't know if Mr. Connors might be better to answer that, but I mean, to me, that's what I thought that was to go through, was to start addressing our encampments. I realize this team is not hired and on the boots on the ground yet, but I thought that's what that team was created to do.
Your worship, through to the councillor's question. Yes, the staff team will get hired and will get trained, and then we'll put them out. What we'll be able to do is respond faster without a contractor, to especially the smaller jobs, and try to keep the encampments from becoming large areas where there's a lot of refuge.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
Just through the chair, further to that, so I think what Councillor Lauder was referencing is we've already had cleanups and we don't have them hired yet, so we are paying. The budget was only set for 80,000 for cleanup, and if anybody witnessed the one down on Ingersoll Road, we had to get big equipment, so we're probably already out of the budget. So that's why there's a concern, and as said, my worry is with this, you're putting 18,000 towards staff. All that money should be going to something. So to me, donate it to the school. They already do it, or give all the money to Operation Sharing. But we're gonna need the money for the encampments. They're not hired yet, they're not ready to go, and they're not trained yet. So by the time all that's up and running, we're gonna be cleaning all kinds of encampments, and we're way over budget. So I realize this doesn't come from the taxpayer, but the cleanup is what we're trying to emphasize. The cleanup is going on the taxpayer. So that's why this should be completely on encampments.
Anyone else? Councillor Martin.
I'll just ask the question out loud through you. Are we over budget on encampment cleanup so far?
Your worship, through the councillor's question, based on the information that we've received in Treasury Department, we are not over budget at this point.
Mr. Connors, do you have anything to add for my clarity?
Your worship, through the councilor's question, I did speak to the park supervisor before this regarding the budget. Although a few invoices haven't come in, she believes that we're still within budget. We did receive monies from the county for their cleanup on their property, so that has been spent. And we've spent the monies so far that are still in line with the spring cleanup. We did get a late start with spring because of the weather, but budget-wise, right now, she believes we're still in line.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? I'll turn it over to clerk for recorded vote.
Thank you, your worship. Counselor Leatherbarrow,
Yes.
Counselor Martin,
Yes.
Counselor Schadenberg,
No.
Counselor Tate,
No.
Counselor Wismer Van Meer,
Yes.
Mayor Accioni,
Yes.
and Counselor Lauder. That motion carries 4-3.
Okay, thank you. I'm still hearing some static. Does that sound bad to you? No, I'm just getting a little feedback here. Next up, notice of motion. Counselor Tate.
Whereas as April 3rd, 2025 meeting, Woodstock City Council allocated 47,100 to 13 organizations for the spring intake of the 2025 Community Grants Program. And whereas the purpose of the Community Grants Program is to provide financial assistance to local nonprofit, charitable, or volunteer organizations to deliver program services or special projects that benefit the community and enhance the overall well-being of the city's residents. And whereas the remaining balance for 2025 in the Community Grants Fund is 109,430, therefore be resolved that Woodstock City Council allocates an additional 10,000 to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford County and 10,000 to Woodstock Kitten Nursery and Rescue to be funded from account 0204-83747-000 Community Grant Program.
Thank you. There is no debate on this tonight. This will be debated on May 1st council meeting. No new business that I'm aware of. That brings us to draft bylaws. Counselor Schadenberg.
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Counselor Lauder that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9748-25, a bylaw to repeal and replace bylaw 9662-24, a bylaw which provided for the classification, retention, and destruction of records of the corporation of the city of Woodstock. 9749-25, a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the letter of agreement for the transfer of dedicated gas tax funds for public transportation programs. 9750-25, 9750-25. Oh, why the numbers are twice. A bylaw to provide for the purchase and sale of certain lands owned by the city of Woodstock to Enbridge Gas, Inc. 9751-25, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended is ZN 8-25-02 for the address 572 Main Street.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed. Counselor Schadenberg.
Yeah, moved by Counselor Schadenberg, seconded by Counselor Tate that the following bylaws be given a third and final reading. 9748-25, 9749-25, 9750-25, and 975125.
Thank you. Last chance. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried, none opposed. And that brings us to our questions and addresses by members of council this evening. And tonight we'll start with Counselor Leatherbarrow.
I hope everyone has a great long weekend with lots of chocolate.
Thank you. Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Yes, a wonderful long weekend to everyone, no matter how you choose to enjoy it. Be safe, spend time with friends and family if you have the opportunity to do so. Yeah, enjoy a couple of quieter days.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Just a shout out to the Board of Works people that every time I've had to have a cleanup from an encampment, they've been there, sent the pictures, and I've been able to send to the business owners, just so people are aware that these encampments are also affecting businesses, and it's been very troubling. And have a good Easter.
Thank you. I'll certainly echo that to the entire department. Thank you. Counselor Lauder.
Thank you. From the Art Gallery, the registration for the Visual Elements 67 deadline for submission is April 30th, 2025 at noon. And I've handed out pamphlets for the Oxford 2025 studio tour happening May the 3rd and 4th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Plan to attend Oxford County's annual studio tour located in the picturesque southwestern Ontario. And have a lovely Easter weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
I hope everyone has a wonderful Easter weekend. Get out and support our local stores downtown. Lots of great businesses have lots of great things to offer for your Easter weekends: chocolates, candies, flowers, baked goods, all the things that you need. Even for the vegans like myself, we can go downtown and shop and grab our things. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I always reflect on the many years I spent working at the farmer's market. So I like to always go back and get a little nostalgic. 8-year-old Liz hated having to get up at 5 a.m. to go to sell chocolate, but it's great to go back there and see that. So have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you. And Counselor Schadenberg.
Yeah, I too want to thank the Woodstock City Works Department. My garbage day and recycling day is normally on a Friday, but since tomorrow's a holiday, it ended up being today. Needless to say, I forgot. So all my recycling went into my car and I drove to James Street, and boy, I was greeted by a nice gang of people there to tell me exactly where my recycling can go and in which bin. So that was terrific. Speaking about clean or cleaning up, the city cleanup day is in Southside Park this coming Saturday, April 19th at 5 a.m. is whenever, 5 a.m., 8 a.m. Be awfully early to 5 a.m. Mary Jerry will be there at 5 a.m. The rest of us will be there at 8 a.m. Southside Park at the Parks yard, or the Parks building, is where everyone's going to be meeting. For more information, you can look at cityofwoodstock.ca, of course, /special events. WCI has their concert for a cure, so it's WCI current students and alumni all performing on Friday, April 25th at 7 p.m. at proceeds going to Sakura House for that concert. The Woodstock Cycling Club has a youth group every Tuesdays at 6 p.m. starting on May 6th. They ride the trails out of what's called the Pines, which of course is literally just east of Woodstock off County Road 4. People usually know where the Pines are, especially if you own a good bicycle. But they begin on May 6th for their trail riding for their youth group. Thanks.
Thank you. First, I'd like to welcome Warden Ryan and Mayor Petrie here to our meeting this evening. Thank you for being in attendance, of course. I'd also like to say a big happy Easter to to everyone, from my family to yours. I hope you get to enjoy. It is my wife Sarah's birthday on Saturday, so that is going to take precedent over Easter first. We're going to be celebrating with family. I'm lucky to have sisters coming down to visit, so we'll be together all weekend and quite excited by that. But I will be there at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning to help out with cleanup at the Parks Department. I hope we see a lot of people out. And I'd also like to do a big shout out to Hino Motors for having economic development and myself out today to do a really good tour of their facility. And in all the years in business here in the city, I didn't recognize, or I've never realized, I'm sorry, that they're a fully built Canadian vehicle sold for the Canadian market only. So there's a lot of pride there in Hino Motors, and I want to recognize that for them. It was really felt there today. So thank you for having us. And with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Martin, second by Councillor Leatherborough. All those in favor, we are now adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Happy Easter.